There is one protein inside your body that almost no man knows about, which is silently binding your testosterone and making it completely unavailable to every cell that needs it. It is called sex hormone binding globulin, and it may be the single most overlooked reason why men with apparently normal testosterone levels still feel, perform, and look like their testosterone is low. Here is what actually happens inside the hormonal system and why this matters so much. Your body produces testosterone, but the majority of that testosterone does not stay free. It binds to a protein called SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin. Once bound, the testosterone is no longer available. Your cells cannot use it. Your muscles cannot respond to it. Your brain cannot feel it. The only testosterone doing anything for you is the fraction that remains unbound. That is your free testosterone. And here is the cascade most men never trace. SHBG goes up when caloric intake is too low. It goes up when the body is in a catabolic state. It goes up when dietary fat is restricted. It goes up under chronic stress. It goes up with excessive alcohol. Every one of these is something most men are already dealing with, and every one of them is silently reducing the testosterone their body can actually use, even when total testosterone looks fine on the blood tests. From there, the consequences compound. Free DHT falls because DHT is the strongest bioidentical androgen and is even more tightly bound than testosterone. Secondary sexual characteristics, motivation, drive, facial structure development, recovery, all of it depends on the free fraction, not the total. Muscle growth slows, fat redistribution follows. Energy drops. The man on paper has normal testosterone. The man in real life feels nothing like it. This is well documented endocrinology, the framework for understanding male hormone optimization across a lifespan. Monitoring testosterone, SHBG, free testosterone, estradiol, LH, FSH, and thyroid together is what separates a proper hormonal picture from a single number on a page. Men who understand this system and address each level systematically consistently report outcomes that those chasing total testosterone alone never reach. So here's exactly how to optimize the full hormonal system, starting with what matters most and building from there. The reason most men are running suboptimal free testosterone has nothing to do with their genetics. It has to do with an environment that was never designed for hormonal health. Low-fat diets became popular. Testosterone is synthesized through the cholesterol pathway. Cut dietary fat aggressively and you cut the raw material the body uses to make its own hormones. Caloric deficits became the universal solution for body composition. For men carrying excess fat, this helps. For men already at a healthy weight, a caloric deficit lowers IGF-1, raises SHBG, pushes the body into a catabolic state, and drops free testosterone significantly. Alcohol became socially normalized. Alcohol increases aromatase, the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen in a dose-dependent manner. It also disrupts LH and FSH signaling, which are the hormones that tell the testes to produce testosterone in the first place. Look at the hormonal profiles of men who deliberately structure their lifestyle around these variables versus men who ignore them. The difference is not subtle, and it is achievable without any pharmaceutical intervention. Here is something you can check right now without a blood test. Think about your current diet. Are you restricting fat? Are you eating across 14 to 16 hours a day? Grazing between meals? Are you in a caloric deficit while already lean? Are you drinking alcohol more than 3 to 4 standard drinks every 2 weeks? Are you training vigorously for longer than an hour regularly? Every yes is a lever currently working against your free testosterone, not your total testosterone, your free testosterone, the number that actually determines how you feel, look, and perform. You do not need a blood panel to know these levels exist. You just need to know to look for them. Alright, the first step is getting the right picture, and this means knowing what to ask for. A total testosterone test alone is not enough. What you need is total testosterone alongside SHBG and free testosterone at the same time. Add in estradiol, LH, FSH, and thyroid hormone, and you now have a complete hormonal picture. This is the diagnostic standard for understanding what is actually happening, not just what the surface number says. Get this done every 6 months. Not once, not when you feel bad, twice a year, consistently, so you can track direction rather than just a snapshot. From that picture, two things become clear immediately: whether your total testosterone is actually low, and whether your SHBG is binding up too much of what you have. These are two completely different problems with two completely different solutions. Treating them the same way is why most interventions underdeliver. Okay, before getting into the supplement stack and the Eastern protocols that complete this system, if you want this structured as a full program with blood work guidance, face-by-face implementation, and both Western and traditional Chinese medicine approaches combined, that is exactly what One Man Mastery is built around. The link is in the description. Now, here is the full fix. Once you have the diagnostic picture, you build the lifestyle foundation in this order. Diet first. Do not restrict fat. Testosterone is built from cholesterol. Healthy fats from animal proteins, avocados, nuts, olive oil. These are not optional when the goal is hormonal optimization. Get adequate protein. Get prebiotic fiber to build a gut microbiome that supports everything downstream. If you're overweight, caloric restriction helps testosterone because you're reducing aromatase activity in fat tissue. If you're already lean, caloric restriction hurts testosterone. Know which situation you are in before cutting anything. Dairy and IGF-1 deserve a specific mention. IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, is produced by the liver and works in direct opposition to the catabolic state that suppresses testosterone. Dairy supports IGF-1. Men who cut dairy entirely during development or in their 20s for no clinical reason are removing a meaningful hormonal support without realizing it. This is particularly important under the age of 25, when bone density and secondary sexual development are still occurring. Alcohol is the dietary variable with the most direct and documented hormonal cause. More than 3 to 4 standard drinks every 2 weeks increases aromatase, disrupts LH signaling, and suppresses testosterone through multiple simultaneous mechanisms. This is dose dependent. The less, the better. Exercise second. 3 to 4 sessions of vigorous training per week, not more than 1 hour per session. This is the threshold beyond which hormonal benefit begins to reverse. Past 1 hour of vigorous training, cortisol spikes, testosterone production signal weakens, and the recovery cost outweighs the stimulus benefit. HIIT has specifically shown positive effects on testosterone in controlled studies. Add 3 to 4 lighter movement sessions on top of that. Vigorous training builds the stimulus. Lighter movement supports recovery. Sleep third. Growth hormone is produced during sleep. Growth hormone and cortisol exist in direct opposition. More of one means less of the other. Sleep is the single most powerful natural growth hormone stimulus available. Cut sleep and you raise cortisol. Drop growth hormone and suppress testosterone all at once. Protect the sleep window before adding any supplement. Stress fourth. If stress is not managed, it does not just affect mood. It breaks every other pillar simultaneously. Men under chronic stress stop eating well, stop training consistently, stop sleeping properly, and their hormonal environment reflects all three at once. Managing stress is not a soft suggestion. It is the prerequisite for everything else working. Purpose, fifth. This is the one most people skip, and the one that underpins all the others. When a man has no direction, no goal, nothing he is building, his biological system reflects it. The hormonal drive that comes from working towards something real is documented. This is not motivational language. It is physiology. The man with a clear goal sustains his hormonal environment better than the man drifting because the body allocates its resources according to the demands being placed on it. Once the lifestyle foundation is in place, this is where supplementation and the Eastern layer compound everything. Creatine first. It slightly increases total testosterone and increases the conversion of testosterone to DHT. For men who want to optimize the androgen pathway without exogenous hormones, this is one of the most evidence-backed starting points available. 3 to 5 grams daily. No cycling needed. The hair loss concern is a myth at physiological doses. It simply returns DHT to where it naturally should be. Vitamin D3 second. Vitamin D is a steroid hormone. Deficiency directly suppresses testosterone. 15 to 20 minutes of morning sunlight daily covers this. On days without sun, 10,000 IU of D3 paired with K2 to balance the intake. If your testosterone is suboptimal and your vitamin D is deficient, replacing vitamin D alone will improve testosterone measurably. This has been shown repeatedly. Boron, third. If SHBG is high and binding up too much free testosterone, boron acutely lowers SHBG, 5 to 12 milligrams per day. Boron is depleted in most agricultural soils, meaning most men are not getting meaningful amounts from food. This is one of the most direct levels for free testosterone available without prescription. Tonka Ali, fourth, also known as long jack. This works by upregulating multiple enzymes in the steroidogenesis cascade, the pathway through which the body converts cholesterol into testosterone. It also increases LH slightly and can lower SHBG in men with elevated levels, 300 to 1200 milligrams daily depending on standardization of the extract. This is particularly effective during periods of caloric restriction or lower carbohydrate intake when the body's natural testosterone signaling is already reduced. L-carnitine, fifth. L-carnitine increases the density of androgen receptors in the cytoplasm of your cells. This means that even without changing your testosterone levels, more testosterone binds to more receptors, producing a greater hormonal effect. 1000 to 5000 milligrams orally per day. Oral bioavailability is around 10%, so dosing needs to be higher to achieve the tissue effect. Tadalafil, sixth. And this one surprises most men. Low-dose tadalafil at 2.5 to 5 milligrams daily does something most people do not associate with it. It increases androgen receptor density. Similarly to L-carnitine, it also significantly improves blood flow to the prostate and genitalia, and in men with nocturia, waking to urinate at night. It cuts those episodes roughly in half, directly protecting sleep quality and therefore growth hormone production. The hormonal cascade from protecting one night of sleep is significant. This is where traditional Chinese medicine and modern endocrinology point at the same root through completely different frameworks. What TCM calls kidney yang depletion is the Eastern description of exactly the hormonal state the Western research is measuring. The herbs used to restore kidney yang, yin yang huo, tu xi zi, tu zong, have been studied and found to act on the HBG axis and on the Leydig cells that produce testosterone. These are not separate systems. They are complementary descriptions of the same biological reality. The man who understands both and applies both is working with the complete picture. Everyone else has half of it. This system can be built at any age. The hormonal pathway responds to correct input regardless of how long the suppression has been running. Men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who apply this framework consistently report the same reversal. Free testosterone rises, energy returns, physical composition shifts, recovery improves. The drive that had quietly faded comes back. The androgen receptors can always be up-regulated. The SHBG can always be addressed. The lifestyle levels can always be corrected. You can always take action. Men who have gone through this process report the same thing on the other side. The number on their blood test rises, but more importantly, how they feel changes. The fog lifts, the motivation returns. The physical results that training and diet were not producing suddenly start compounding because the system that was supposed to be working was finally being supported instead of suppressed. If you want the full structured system covering foundation, training, hormones, the look, and identity with traditional Chinese medicine protocols alongside Western hormone science, blood work guidance, herbal stacks, and the full East meets West approach, that is one-man mastery. The link is in the description. Come in, get the complete picture, and start building this properly. Feel better, look better. This is where it starts.